Hello everyone, welcome to week number 4 in our class. And this week we're going to be looking at diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the one article that I'd like you to take a look at is that one by Dr. Clayton, which talks about refocusing our higher education strategy on diversity, equity, and inclusion. If you haven't heard about that, also known as DEI, you certainly will be learning about that in the public sector and in the private sector. It's talked about, it's being implemented. There's really quite a focus on it, and obviously the benefits of the shift towards DEI is the improved racial and cultural awareness, and the fact that now organizations are focused on inclusion. That's intentional, it's ongoing, and it's active, and that's a very important part of any type of strategy for not only retaining and attracting students, but retaining and attracting faculty and staff. Also, I want you to take a look at the video, the PBS NewsHour video on how the pandemic highlights racial disparities in higher education, and in that I have an assignment connected to that you're going to be needing to help resolve. But in that, it's mentioning that the enrollment decline is primarily higher in the underrepresented groups. So let's move on to the next slide. Now I'd like you to consider the article Leadership Reconsidered by Aston and Aston, and I assigned 2 chapters in this monograph, and chapter 4 is on faculty as leaders, and then chapter 5 is on student affairs professionals as leaders. And I really would like you to focus on the 2 tables in this information, because we talk about and we look at any type of strategy change for the benefit of our students as something that has to involve everybody. And if we're going to involve everybody, we have to have obviously faculty, and then we also have to have administration or presidential leadership, and then we also have to have student affairs involvement. And when we look at that, and this time we're just going to look at faculty and student affairs, and we're going to look at what are some of the constraining beliefs that faculty have when they're looking at organizations and strategies and projecting into the future. And then we're also going to look at how do we empower faculty into embracing change and embracing new ideas, and looking at the institution as a whole and not just separate silos. So look at those 2 tables on the faculty in chapter 4, and think about what that might mean to either your own organization, or maybe an organization you've been a part of in the past, or an organization that you might like to be a part of in the future. And when you look at that, you look at faculty, their leaders, they're teachers, they provide institutional or organizational service, they provide service to the students, they provide service to the community, and look at that as a whole. And there are, some drawbacks in some of the beliefs. Sometimes you'll run into in any organization, or you'll have groups that may not agree with each other, may not specifically trust each other, and that's what you have to get beyond. Is you have to empower people to move beyond those for the greater good and the success of students in higher education. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. All right, just as we did in chapter 4, when we talked about the faculty and read through the chapter and looked at the faculty as a vital element to achieving our strategy, and in this case a strategy towards achieving DEI principles and DEI values. What we're going to look at in chapter 5 is student affairs professionals, and same two tables, and it's really interesting to compare table 1 and table 2. Table 1, the constraining implications or the constraints of student affairs beliefs of student affairs professionals, and then in table 2, how to empower student affairs professionals for that leadership and strategy development. So we're going to we've looked now at the faculty, now we're going to look at student affairs. And when you look at student affairs, their core functions: service delivery, student-directed activities, integrated learning, institutional governance, among many, many others. And as we look at strategy, it really is no one of us as individuals, or no organization as individual units, is as strong as all of us together. And that's what we're talking about, is the whole aspect of pulling together to develop strong student support strategies, and how to go about that, and using, in this case, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And when you go back and look at the PBS NewsHour articles or videos, and look at the article by Dr. Clayton, you'll see the real need for DEI and how it can enhance your organization and really implement ideas that will promote student success. So keep those in mind as you look through this, and keep those in mind as you're doing the case assignments and the weekly discussions. And please let me know if you have any questions or comments. Week 5 is coming up. Please look at the due dates for Sunday, and best wishes to you all.